This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Oh, it's that time for the National Football League week number 2. The picks 3-0 for Hatfield last week. Dino's Bow Wow, the dog. Looking for sponsors, hit us up. ESPN Radio 94.1, 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Hey, it is brought to you by Larry King Law. If you're injured in an accident, you know who to call. 757-INJURED for Larry King. And the coach, Ed Young, trying to redeem himself from a 1-2 mark a week ago. I don't think, I went 3-0 at all last week when Hightower and I did the picks. Pick 3 on 757 at 6 on the weeknight show. So I got to boast about this as long as I can because I know it's bound to turn the other way in a hurry. Real quickly, 2 things to throw out there before we bring in the coach. We do the picks, and I'll go first this week, Ed, since I got the victories. The VHSL Executive Committee in a special session did adopt the Championships +1 schedule for the upcoming high school season for sports. So basketball will get underway. Your sport, December 7th. You can begin practicing then. It'll run through February the 20th. The first set of games can begin on December the 21st, that Monday before Christmas. And yesterday, the VHSL announced that they're going to meet this coming Wednesday with a Zoom meeting, the executive committee, and on the discussion docket, the sites for the state championship games. And check this out. Though nothing has been finalized, no contracts have been signed, it's under consideration. Old Dominion University, for the first time ever, may very well host a state football championship, as they could be the site. It says right now it's the tentative site, potentially, for the Class 5 and Class 6 football championships at ODU come May the 1st. So, might be the next football game that is played there at SB Ballard Stadium at Cornwall Field. You never know. We don't know what's going to happen with spring college football, Ed. But last year, Maury and Oscar Smith played in state championship games at Hampton University, which has been the site lately for the Class 5 and Class 6 games. We know Maury beat Stonebridge for the title in Class 5. Oscar Smith came up short by a whisker against South County. We could be seeing a couple of 7-5-7 teams playing for a state title at ODU. How about that?
I'm all for it. I think they would have a great chance. I know the VHSL loves this area. Obviously, a lot of those championship contenders come out of this area. Hampton University's done a really good job of hosting it, and people will come out. So I think it's a great shot. Of course, being selfish from the area, I hope it is here, so it gives us a chance to watch it. More importantly, hopefully our teams are involved in both championships.
Indeed, and also, by the way, Lake Taylor, which won its 3rd state title under Coach Hank Sawyer last year, they're at the Class 4 ranks. Class 4, Class 3, we have some teams in both of those divisions. It is still slated to be at Liberty University out there in Lynchburg for the time being. All right, my first pick here in the NFL, pick 3 against the point spread. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks prime time Sunday night football on NBC with the guy that did play his high school football in the state of Virginia, Russell Wilson, out of the collegiate school in Richmond. He was 31 of 35 for 322 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, had a near perfect passer rating a week ago in that victory over the Atlanta Falcons, which, by the way, threw for more than 400 yards and had 3 100-yard receivers in defeat. They're laying 4 at home against New England. I know Bill Belichick came out gushing this week about Russell Wilson. There might not be a better player. And I know Cam Newton looked very, very good for the Pats in their Week 1 victory over Miami. But they're going to the West Coast, prime time. That place will be rocking. Only laying 4. Give me Seattle to lay the 4 and win by double digits, I say, against New England to move to 2-0 and stay atop the NFC West. The Seabirds, the first selection. So, Ed, you are up for the next 2.
Oh, boy. I don't have them right in front of me, but I do remember looking over them this week. What is the spread on the I'm going to go back to them again, 49ers and Jets?
49ers and Jets, Jets. San Francisco laying 7 on the road against the New York Football Jets, who did not have a great start to the year against Buffalo, nor did San Francisco as they blew a lead late against that team from the desert.
I'm going to stick with the 49ers for the second week in a row, even though they let me down last week. Give me 49ers.
All right, so San Fran -7 for the coach, Ed Young, to try to get himself to the 500 ledger, the reigning NFC champions. What's your second pick?
What is the spread on, Chiefs and Chargers?
Oh, you're giving us some more oh boy sound bites. We love this. You're just right up there. Kansas City, another hefty road favorite. 8.5 are the reigning Super Bowl champions. Chiefs a favorite on the road with Derek Nottie out of Ocean Lakes High in Virginia Beach against the Chargers, which got a win holding on against Joe Burrow and the Bengals last week. Tyrod Taylor out of Hampton High, the starting signal caller for the L.A. Chargers.
Give me Chiefs.
So Ed goes with Nottie to maybe sack, at least bring down Taylor and the Chargers and cover, laying the 8.5 in L.A. against the Chargers, the division rival. Somebody's going to go to 2-0 out there in the AFC West. We shall see if another team does in Ed's Las Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football against the New Orleans Saints, who beat the Bucs in week number 1. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk, as we bring it all back to you here on the local front, talking all kinds of sports here in the Tidewater area and beyond here on ESPN Radio 94.1. So Ed's got a couple of hefty road favorites in the Niners and the Chiefs. I've got a less than heavy favorite at home in Seattle laying the 4. So I get the next 2 picks here. And Dino, I went against the Lions last week. I got to do it again this week. Green Bay laying 6.5 against Detroit. That's all. Did you see how good Aaron Rodgers was? Listen, when you're in doubt, you take 2 terrific quarterbacks. I'm taking Russell Wilson in one game, and I'm taking Green Bay at home, only laying 6.5. I know you don't have the raucous Lambeau Field crowd to boo on Matt Patricia and Detroit here, but I do think we might see Raven Green in action. You never know out of First Colonial High School and James Madison University. He was not active a week ago with a quad injury. Whether he plays or not, I think the Packers win this by a couple of touchdowns. Give me Green Bay laying the 6.5, and I'm tempted to take an outright upset here with my next pick. And you know what? Hate to do it to you, Dino, because I was lucky with the Bears last week. This team might win.
They were lucky. Detroit should have won that game.
Very lucky. That little drop there in the end zone by Swift for the Lions. I don't know if the Bears will be quite as lucky. I know they're at home against the New York Football Giants with an ODU pass rusher there, and O'Shane Zimenez for Big Blue there in New York. He had a quarterback hit, did not get a sack. I think he might get a sack or 2 against Mitchell Trubisky this week, who everybody was wanting to bench at halftime for Foles, and they loved him after the game. I think it's going to be a little bit of love-hate this week. It might be love for the first half and not so much love in the second half. The Giants could win this outright, but even if they don't, I'm getting 5.5 points. I feel like the Bears are going to play a lot of close games, edge of your seat. This is going to be a field goal game. I'll take the 5.5 for Big Blue on the road. So a couple of home favorites with, dare we say, Hall of Fame level quarterbacks. I definitely think they have a great chance to get there in Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Seattle favored by 4 at home against New England. Green Bay favored at home by 6.5 against Detroit. And I'm going to take the Giants as a road dog, 5.5 against Chicago, the Bears. Ed's got San Fran laying 7, KC laying 8.5. What is your third and final selection, sir?
Give me the point spread with the Tampa Bay Carolina game.
Tampa Bay, Carolina. He's going to go to a surefire Hall of Fame quarterback in Tom Brady. I think he might be, unless he's going to shock us all here and take Carolina, getting 8.5 on the road against the Bucs. And Tampa Bay trying to bounce back from last week's less than stellar performance against the Saints. Carolina was right there with the Vegas Raiders in that matchup in week number 1. And they do have a guy from the 757 now in Trenton Cannon out of Kecoughtan High School in Hampton, Virginia State University. He had a tackle, was penalized for being out of bounds on a kickoff, but nonetheless, going to need some great performances from him and others to beat the Bucs. Are you going with Tampa Bay laying the 8.5, sir?
I'm going to do it. I'm taking Tampa Bay. I think Brady worked some things out this second week, but it's a little scary. But I'm going to go, yes, I think I get a 10-point win.
Boy, you took a lot of scary ones there. Heavy favorites the coach goes with. 1 at home in the Bucs laying 8.5 against Carolina, and 2 on the road with KC minus 8.5 in LA versus the Chargers. The Niners laying the 7 at the Jets, Jets, and Sam Darnold. I've got Seattle minus the 4 versus New England. Green Bay minus 6.5 against the Detroit Lions, and the New York Football Giants plus the 5.5 in Chicago, and trying to make his way to 2-0. There's a lot of attractive underdogs this week. Our man Dino Franza with his Dino's Dog. I'm telling you, soon to be sponsored by somebody here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. What do you got to get to 2-0, Dino?
That's right. It's just a dog. No longer plural. It's not dogs. It's just a dog. And this dog that I am going to take in the NFL on a Sunday afternoon, it's a home team getting, I think, a lot of points. And I know you don't factor in the crowd and all that anymore, but I just think it's a lot of points. I'm going to take the Houston Texans getting a whopping 7.5 from the Baltimore Ravens. A game the Ravens win, they probably go to 2-0 with that matchup against Houston. But I'm going to take the Texans getting the points, a 7.5 in that game.
I tell you what, even though you're going against the 7.57 guy in Chuck Clark for the Ravens out of Kings Fork High School in Suffolk, also a Hokie of Virginia Tech, and Clark had 6 tackles along with a forced fumble in their runaway win over the Browns in week number 1 with Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP and company, cruising against Cleveland, which bounced back against Cincinnati. The thing that is interesting about that one, Dino, Houston did have a couple of extra days off playing that Thursday night opener against Kansas City, so they should be relatively well rested for this one.
Yep, I look for them to be sharp and, like I said, cover, not necessarily win, but cover those points against the Ravens.
Plus 7.5 for Houston. So there's the Dino Dog here as you get the week number 2 selections on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We've got a poll question we'll tell you about later on if we have time here on the show here. 757 Sports Talk is our Twitter feed. Go check that out and vote, vote, vote. It is the American way. And Coach, always a pleasure, my friend. I'm sure we'll see you back here in the saddle in these studios on maybe, it is definitely going to be the final Saturday of September next week. The year is somewhat flying by, although it's been a very trying year for people here in 2020. I know you got the tough funeral there with Carlos today, but enjoy your weekend, and I'm sure we will see the pretty whites, the teeth, next week, perhaps.
Well, good Lord willing, I'll be in there next week a little bit. And, 2020 is coming to a close. And the way things have been going, I think most people are going to say they can't wait till this thing is over. And hopefully 2021 will be a step in the right direction.
Indeed. Well, have a good one, Coach. We thank you for joining us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, and we'll take a timeout. We'll come back with the Wally Wonder Update, part of our Legends of Sports theme that we have from time to time here on ESPN Radio 94.1 with the Norview basketball great from way back in the day, Coach Charles Hatcher, who's bringing us today Wally Jones, a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. Yeah, in 1967, he and a guy by the name of Wilt Chamberlain won the NBA title. We'll reminisce about that and how things are doing down in the bubble right here on your home for sports, whether it's pro, college, local, and high school. We have you covered on ESPN Radio 94.1.